Welcome back to another edition of Matt and Cheryl's Gen Excellent Playlist. I'm Matt.
I'm Sheryl.
Yes, we're all fired up on a Sunday morning to talk about 1983 some more. We've been very entertained along this journey that started back in 1972. We're not quite halfway there yet. Looking at the music of our lives, typical Gen X music freaks we are. Sheryl and her husband Mike co-own the Silver Platters chain of record stores in the Puget Sound area. I'm a sports dude operating out of Portland, but we're both big music freaks with music retail background. And we're looking at the music of our lives here on Matt and Cheryl's Gen Excellent Playlist. Today, we're going to talk about power ballads. And I know Sheryl was kind of reluctant about these two songs that I brought to the table.
One of them more so than the other, I would say.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now, the power ballad, of course, was huge in the 80s.
Yes.
And I'd say 95% of them, I don't care if I ever hear again.
No,
but when they're good, they're so good. Because, I mean, these are the kind of songs that you get together with old friends or peers or schoolmates. You go out and have a few, and the song plays, and you're up belting it.
Everybody's singing with their fists pumped.
Tears in your eyes,
Yes.
belting out the song. I mean, these kind of songs. What other songs really make you do that?
That's true. And a lot of them are from the 80s, and a lot of them are from one of the bands that we're going to be talking about today.
Correct. Two of the absolute best came out in 1983. We're going to talk about those today. And then another song that Cheryl's going to review, modern, cutting-edge 80s production coming out of that new wave of bands, the Second British Invasion. The band is the Fixx. The song, One Thing Leads to Another, from their second album, Reach the Beach. And then the two power ballads I'm going to talk about, Faithfully by Journey and Bonnie Tyler's Faster Than the Speed of Night, from the Faster Than the Speed of Night album. It's Total Eclipse of the Heart. I had Faster Than the Speed of Night on tape. That was one of the first records I bought on tape, I think, a store-bought tape.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I never owned this at the time.
Yeah, and I really liked it a lot at the time. And then I never got the CD when I started, turning over my tape collection into compact disc. I'd kind of moved on from it and forgotten about it, I guess, and just never revisited. But it's fun to go back and listen because I really dug this at the time. And I know a lot of people dug Total Eclipse of the Heart. It was a massive hit in 1983. And one of those songs that just, the first time you heard it on the radio back then, it's just like, wow, what in the world? What is this?
Yeah,
it was just so huge.
Yes, it's massive. It is It's even bigger than Laura Branigan. It is like as big as you can get.
Well, Bonnie goes big or doesn't go at all. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
A lot of her career. But this album was kind of a left field hit. She really just kind of was a one-hit wonder. It disappeared off the face of the earth pretty much after It's a Heartache, which came out in 1978, which is a pleasant radio hit in the United States. I remember hearing it at the time. My parents liked it, I think. I liked it.
Oh, me too. And up until really like about 3 days ago, I did full on think it was Rod Stewart.
Oh, is that right? You
I
did?
always thought that was Rod Stewart. Yeah, I never
That's
realized
funny.
it was Bonnie Tyler.
No, I've been listening to a ton of Rod Stewart lately, and it definitely is his sound for sure.
Yeah, and her vocals are so similar, and it just sounds like a song he would do. In fact, he did cover it. I saw like a couple live versions of him doing it, more recently.
That's interesting. So he covered that. I wonder, has she covered any of his songs?
I don't know.
Because she doesn't write more than just a handful of songs over the years. She's definitely an interpreter.
Yeah. She was always compared to Rod Stewart just because they have a similar vocal style.
The raspy sandpaper voice, which she did not come by naturally. That was a trauma to the vocal cords that permanently damaged her voice. She had already recorded an album before this had happened. And it's a funny story because she's just very gregarious personality, chatterbox. I've kind of fallen in love with by doing the research on it. She's like the cool auntie, auntie. Just down to earth, no affectations, working class Welsh upbringing. And there's a great history of Welsh. I mean, I don't know if people are aware of how many great musicians have come from Wales.
The only one I know is John Cale.
Badfinger is from Wales.
Oh, yeah.
Her maiden name is Hopkins, Mary Hopkins. Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never
On Apple.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's from a whole bunch of great musicians from Wales. Most recently, Super Furry Animals, Gorky's Exotic Mincy, There's a few that I was kind of surprised, like Gene Loves Jezebel. The Aston twins are from Wales.
Oh, okay.
Pino Palladino, the great session bassist, is
Who
from
played with
Wales.
the Who? So of course I know who he
Right,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And of course, we're forgetting maybe the greatest male pop vocalist of them all, Tom Jones.
Yes, of course.
So, yeah, she grew up in a really musical working class family, big family, lots of brothers and sisters. Obviously was raised well, just a down to earth, good natured, just a real person, it's just
Mhm.
so she grew up surrounded, just immersed in music in the household. Her mother was kind of an amateur opera singer. Really neat thing too. After she had became a big star with this album, she covered another Jim Steinman. So the album "Fast and the Speed of Night" was famously written, not completely written, but produced, and a couple of the big songs were written by Jim Steinman, who was the man behind Meatloaf. And if you're a Meatloaf fan, you certainly know the style. Theatrical, big, over the top
Yes.
productions.
Very over the top.
And while she was having a big hit with Total Eclipse of the Heart in 1983, Jim Steinman had another song that was rising to the top of the charts via Air Supply, Making Love Out of Nothing at All.
Yeah, it was number 2, while Total Eclipse of the Heart was number 1.
Right.
So he had 2 songs in the 1 and 2 slots at the same time.
But she later did her own version of that.
Mhm.
And on the song, on the recording, they dubbed in old recordings of her mother singing around the house, just doing opera singing in the
Oh.
background.
Huh.
That's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to do, you know?
Mhm.
So anyway, yeah, she has this hit with "It's a Heartache." She'd already been a recording musician, suffered this trauma to her voice. The story was she had nodules on her vocal cords and had surgery, and as part of the recuperation was not allowed to talk or even whisper. Whispering is actually harder. Did you know that whispering is harder on your voice?
I could see that because you're straining to suppress.
Right, yeah. So being the personality she was, this was very challenging for her, and the frustration built up to such a point that she could no longer stifle a scream. And I guess the story was her mother had asked her something about, she was still living at home, and her mother had asked something about strawberries and cream, were they left out or put back in the whatever. And she had to, instead of just being able to tell her mother, she had to stop, and she was driving a car and had to write down a message. And then her frustration got the best of her. She just let out a scream, and then bam, just wrecked her vocal cord. Well, in fact, she gave herself this incredible, distinctive, husky sandpaper voice that would lead her to great musical acclaim down the road.
It created a career for her, really.
Yeah. So her voice and Rod's are similar, but when she cuts loose, there aren't many singers that can match that. She's got a flamethrower of a voice. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, and I heard her say, too, that before she had the surgery, her voice still had a little bit. Did you listen to Lost in France, which was the first single that she had before the surgery?
Yeah, on a documentary. Yes.
It sounds very much like Phil Spector mixed with ABBA.
Goofy song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very European sounding. Yeah.
Yes. But she said that, she still does have a little bit of a rasp in her voice, nothing like it is after the surgery, but she couldn't hit the notes like she could after the surgery because they did remove the nodules. So she, her range definitely improved, even though she had that rasp in her voice.
So her first record comes out in 1977, vocal injury. 1978, the Natural Force album comes out, and that's the one with "It's a Heartache" on it, which was released in late 1977. It was a hit in the United States, a top 40.
And Juice Newton and Ronnie Spector also had versions of that song out at the same time.
That I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. And Bonnie's is way better.
So we've kind of gone past Juice Newton's peak as a hit maker, but
yeah,
really good singer, really good artist, country crossover artist.
Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, that's a
great song.
pop song.
Well, that's actually a Dave Edmunds song that she covered.
And Dave Edmunds is from
Wales?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Juice Newton actually broke through with a cover of the Merrily Rush song, Angel of the Morning.
Oh, right.
Merrily Rush was a Northwest artist.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first a lot of people heard of Juice Newton. Anyway, so unable to build on that success and dwindling returns, she's basically only releasing albums outside of the United States for a couple of years. And she was locked into a kind of a package deal where she had managers. They're also music publishers and songwriters. So the label she was recording for at the time, they had a vision of her that didn't really match how she felt musically, in her soul. She's kind of going more in that country pop, folk pop vein.
They wanted her to go more in the country vein.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking about Juice Newton too, because I feel like they were kind of directing her to be more like a Juice Newton,
Right.
that country pop vein.
So she's on RCA Records for these early albums, and they're fine, but it's not really what she's feeling. And once she had an opportunity to get out of that contract and sign a new deal, she got a new manager and wanted to move in a different direction. She signs with CBS Records, and they asked her, who do you want, for your next record? Who do you want to produce it? And she loved Bat Out of Hell. And I can sing those songs. Now, one of the things I love about Bonnie Tyler, she's this down-to-earth, just good-natured, cool person, but obviously not lacking in confidence. I mean, she's very confident in her vocal ability. She says, I don't want to sing just songs that anybody could sing. She wants to challenge herself. She wants to sing songs that are challenging, hard to sing, that'll push the limits of her voice. And, Bat Out of Hell, those songs are not easy to sing. I mean, they're all over the map.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of that album? I've never taken to it. It's a Todd Rundgren production.
It's a Todd Rundgren production. And honestly, this is the first time I've ever really listened to it.
Interesting.
I listened to it a couple times in the last week.
Yeah.
I don't really like it.
Yes, I can see the appeal, but it's just... Yeah.
I can see the appeal. First of all, I'm not big into theater. I don't like theatrical productions, theater, musicals. And, this is definitely coming from that vein. But I really like the song Bat Out of Hell. I think that's a good song. And I think 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad is a great ballad. And I remember that song. That was very popular and it's a good song.
I used that the other day on a baseball broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
Thematically, we'd won 2 out of 3 games. So,
and that makes sense.
After losing 17 of 18. So in light of that, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah.
That's what I thought to myself.
It is a good song. And I think that it makes sense that song was a hit from that album. But I feel like the rest of it is just so over the top and so I don't know if I've ever actually listened all the way through to Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, and it's just so long and it's so repetitive and can I sleep on it like that? It's like sleep on what? And so I just think it's silly. It does sound really good. And I think the production is I think Todd, found that to be a challenge that he wanted to take on. And I understand that, but no, I don't see any reason why I'd ever listen to it again.
Yeah. My feelings are pretty much the same as yours. It's not anything I've ever cared for that much.
And I didn't realize, too, how much it had this Phil Spector wall of sound to it, which you can also hear in the Bonnie Tyler stuff, too, like the early Bonnie Tyler stuff, and that it was so 50s rock and roll sounding. Like, it just feels like a throwback musical to me.
Well, that's definitely where Jim Steinman's coming from. He is definitely more of a theatrical writer. He's kind of writing with the stage in mind. If you listen to Broadway music, the songs are generally a lot more sophisticated musically than your average pop song. Lots more chord changes and modulations and such. I think the record label was taken aback a bit, and they think, well, he's never going to want to do this. I mean, why does he want to work with this nobody? I found it interesting, too, that Steinman, who has written and produced for many different artists, doesn't like to send out demo versions of his songs. If people are interested in recording with him or recording his songs, he wants to have them in the room and perform it just on the piano. And she said when he played Total Eclipse of the Heart, it just knocked her sideways. And she's like, I can do something with this song. And boy, did she do something with that song. So the album, it's kind of an all-star band on this album. She's got Roy Battan and Max Weinberg, the pianist and drummer for the E Street Band, Bruce Springsteen's band, Rick Derringer on the guitars. And that name may not be familiar to everybody, but he had a big hit.
Rock and roll
Hoochie Coo.
And he played on a lot of sessions, Rick Derringer.
Yep, he had his solo career going in the 70s, recorded under his own name and just as Derringer. And then prior to Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, he was lead guitarist in the Enter Witter Group, which had a bunch of hits. So she's got this all-star band behind her. She's got Jim Steinman producing and writing a couple of the major tracks on this record. And it's a whole new sound for her in a harder rock vein that she hadn't done before. And you kind of wonder, God, with that voice, it just seems natural to go in this direction. And she must have just felt freed
Yeah.
in the studio to really get a chance to belt some of these songs and waste no time at all. The opening track on the record, Faster Than the Speed of Night, is a cover of Creedence Clearwater Reviver's Have You Ever Seen the Rain? And it starts off with this beautiful Roy Bataan piano lick. It's atmospheric. It's a way different take than John Fogerty's Creedence's version. And I love it. It's great.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I think it just fits so perfect with her voice. It's a really cool interpretation of it. It is very different. It's very piano based, and it has a theatricalness to it too, but I like it. It just brings the song into a totally different light. It's really cool.
So after Have You Ever Seen the Rain, you have the first Jim Steinman composition, Faster Than the Speed of Night. And this this is Steinman in excelsis, because this is particularly the end of this song is about as over the top as it gets. You're kind of wondering,
Yes.
is this song ever going to end? It just keeps getting, the backing vocals get higher and higher. And
It's
then
like an explosion.
oh yeah, you got they use those like thunder effects on the percussion in multiple songs. And
Yes.
it starts right away with the first song, Have You Ever Seen the Rain? Which makes sense. Have you ever seen the rain? Thunder. But Fast the Speed of Night, 6 minutes, 44 seconds. And at the end of the song, you've got this voice in the very upper register. Ah! Is that Bonnie or is that a backing singer? I haven't been able to figure that out. If that's her, then she's way more than just a raspy voice belter. That's pretty impressive high range.
I wouldn't
right
be
there.
surprised if it's a backing singer
Yeah.
because they use Rory Dodd for the higher voice of Total Eclipse. And I don't know. They've got so many things happening on this album that there's got to be singers backing her. But I like Faster the Speed of Light. I really like that song. And that was the first one I listened to. And I was like, oh, maybe I do kind of like Jim Steinman, because I always had this idea I didn't. And that's when I went and listened to Bad Out of Hell. And I was like, oh, okay, no. I just like the song.
We also have to talk about the video for Faster Than the Speed of Night.
It is insane.
It's completely, you nailed it. Bonkers.
It is
Bonkers.
so bonkers. There's like scantily clad buff men wielding guitars and like dancing all over. I mean, there's just so much
Motorcycle jousting.
yes, so many bodies coming out of nowhere that are like practically naked dancing in front of her, and then motorcycles on fire. And it's just like every bombastic thing you could think of is happening in this video.
So Sheryl pointed me out to watch this video, watch it last night. And then I just got through watching the Total Eclipse of the Heart video. And they could have cut these on the same day. Although obviously it took some time to create these videos because there's a lot going on in these videos.
Yeah.
A lot. There's a high production. This is early in the video. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to talk about MTV before we get out of 1983 and its impact on music. But when these videos came out, I don't think we had MTV in our house yet. I don't really remember these videos that well.
Well, I'd never seen the video to Faster Than the Speed of Night. That was a revelation. But Totally Eclipse of the Heart was on so much, but it was not at the time. Probably I wasn't seeing it.
There's a lot of sexual fantasizing.
Yes. And it's like Bonnie Tyler's just kind of in the middle of it all.
Right.
Happening around her as she's singing, you know. But it's just like, wow, there's a whole circus going on here.
Again, I just dig this lady because she's just so salt of the earth type, but she's just up for anything. It's like,
yes,
you want me to do what? Sure, darling. Let's go.
Bring it on.
And then, okay, so you get to Total Eclipse of the Heart, and it's just this massive ballad. And Sheryl and I have talked about this before. If you could go back in time and be witness to musical events, like be in the room, see a show from a band that no longer exists, or be there when this happened.
Yeah.
I would love to be in the studio when she's cutting the vocal track for this. I mean, it's just,
yes,
it would just be something to see, just to be in the presence of that.
Yeah, it's almost shocking, really, how just so huge it is and how this can come out of one person.
And how she pushes her voice so hard, too, because, I mean, she's already technically wrecked her vocal cords. So, like,
Yeah,
what do you got to lose now? I mean, exactly.
true.
So, I mean, she pushes her voice to the limit all the time, and particularly on this song. There's nothing subtle about it. Certainly, it's super
It's
dramatic.
like the definition of epic.
It's super dramatic, epic, builds and builds and builds. I will say this, however, I can do without the album version. The extra verse just bogs this song down.
The album version is like almost 7 minutes long.
Yeah, and the extra verse adds nothing to it. When I hear the verse, it sounds like somebody wrote it in about 10. It's like, oh my God, we need another verse. Now, you need to write something down. We need a
And
verse.
why
We
would
got to
they
cut it right
think
now.
that
Right
when they already have like over 5 minutes of a song?
Exactly.
The video version is 5.5 minutes. Like, that's already a long song.
Yeah, the single version is where it's at. But if you really want to appreciate Bonnie Tyler, you got to look up her Grammy Award performance from 1984 when she went on stage and sang this song live out there basically on her own. Now, Rory Dodd, you mentioned,
Yeah.
key element on this record with his the male vocal counterpoint and the harmonies on this song. He's there too. So he's singing, but there's no band on the stage. It's the Grammy, so it's the orchestra. They're in a pit. You don't see them. This song's so hard to sing. If you don't understand how hard it is to sing a song like that, go out to karaoke. Take somebody who you know who can sing pretty well.
Yeah.
And have them try and sing this in front of people.
Right.
This is a really hard song to sing. And she's out there and doesn't hold anything back.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
She's note perfect. I mean, her voice frays a little bit when she pushes it, but she's always perfectly in tune. And that's when you hear other music people talk about her, that's what they'll say. Just an incredible professional singer, just super talented.
Well, and when you watch that Grammy performance in 1984, you know she is actually singing that song. There's no backing track. There's no help from...
No software, no auto-tune.
Yes, it's all her.
She's nailing it. I'm absolutely slayed.
And when you talk about someone doing this in karaoke, even if someone could hit the notes, it's still not going to sound the same because she has that distinct vocal sound, that raspiness to it. Just adds so much that it's still never going to sound as good as her version, even if they could hit it all the notes exactly.
Yeah. So did you go back and look at your reference books when you were preparing for this episode?
No.
Both Bonnie Tyler and so first of all, music critics of the day would sniff at everything we're going to talk about today, probably. The Fixx didn't get great reviews. Journey was hated by music critics. This album, a lot of people would have been sniffy about it. I've got this stack of reference books that I've collected over the years, and there's hardly even a mention of Bonnie Tyler in any of them, which is amazing to me. This record was big. This sold millions. This album sold millions. Total Eclipse of the Heart was #1 for 4 weeks. It was a mega hit worldwide. She's continued to be very popular in mainland Europe.
Well, I think both of these songs that we're going to do, not the Journey song so much, but the Fixx and the Bonnie Tyler song, when those reviews were out, it was a new song. These were new. This is what their first opinion and first take on this. And now these are two songs that are still popular now.
Oh, yeah.
Popular with young people. So, you have to kind of look at and gauge those songs that stood the test of time and went through more than one generation. And I think that now those songs kind of people look back and think, okay, these had longevity for a reason. There's something there. And definitely the Bonnie Tyler song is one that I'm certain that every young person knows this song too.
Oh, sure. And if you're a talented singer, you should have the same attitude as Bonnie. You should want to challenge yourself and tackle a song like this. See if you can make something of it.
And who better than to write a song that would do that for her than Jim Steinman? Yeah. I mean, it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, the record company thought, oh my gosh, what are we doing? With Jim Steinman, what does she think? But it turned out to be a match made in heaven. And there's a lot more interesting stuff on this record, too, on side 2. And she closes it with a Bryan Adams cover, Straight from the Heart. I mean, that song had just come out, basically.
Yeah. Yes, it was on Cuts Like a Knife. Came out in 83. And, honestly, this is one of those covers for her that I feel like It's a Heartache, thinking that could be Rod Stewart. This is one of those flip side where I thought this could be Bonnie Tyler's song. Like, I know this song from Bryan Adams too, because it was a hit, or at least it was on the radio for him.
Good song.
It fits her voice perfect, and it seems like it could have been her hit. I don't know if hers was ever played I don't think so. I think his was, but I feel like she could have had a hit with this song.
It was the 5th single released from the record.
Oh, okay.
So what it was released as a single in the U.S., but that would have been August of '83. So Total Eclipse of the Heart was the lead single, and then Faster the Speed of Night was only released as a single in the UK. Have You Ever Seen the Rain did come out as a single in June of that year, and then Straight from the Heart in August. So a lot of singles released from this record. It was a massive record, sold a lot. Couple other really interesting songs on side 2. Going Through the Motions. Now, I didn't know this song. It's an Ian Hunter composition, but it was recorded by Blue Oyster Cult on the Spectres album. That was their follow-up record to Agents of Fortune, which was their breakthrough album that had Don't Fear the Reaper on it. Spectres was the album that led off with Godzilla. What an unbelievable friggin' song that is.
Yeah. And that album, that's the one that has I Love the Night. That was a hit.
Yeah, that was a hit song. But hearing Bonnie's version going through, it made me want to go back and check out the BOC version. So this hits home for me because 2 bands I'm really getting into right now, Mott the Hoople and Blue Oyster Cult. I was kind of starting to get to Blue Oyster Cult, the first 2 records, particularly Tyranny and Mutation, which I listened to a couple times. I'm kind of on an early hard rock kick right now. It's like the proto-metal bands of the turn of the 70s, Deep Purple and Blue Oyster Cult. And I've listened to Sir Lord Baltimore and some of the more obscure stuff. But, Ian Hunter was the lead singer and main songwriter, Mott the Hoople. And then Blue Oyster Cult covered that song. So hearing the Bonnie Tyler record, it motivated me to go listen to Spectres, which I'd never listened to. What a great album that is by Blue Oyster Cult. I don't want to go too far off on the path here, but that's a killer record. Really good.
And I like their version of that song too.
Yes, very much.
And it does sound like an Ian Hunter song, especially his solo stuff. It has that feel to it. But Bonnie's version is good. It starts out though with this weird chanting children.
I love that.
You do?
Yes. So it's like a children's choir, but not like a real pure, vocally pure. They're just kind of shout singing, but they're in perfect time. So they got the rhythm. They got the rhythm of the song going with this little chant before the song. It works for me. I think it's good. It's cool. And then the duet with Frankie Miller, who is an unfamiliar name to most. Again, he's kind of a musician's musician, cult artist, raspy white soul vocalist from Scotland. And he's done duets with a lot more famous singers. His own records have never sold in quantity, but, similar vocal grain to Bonnie Tyler. And they covered his own song, Tears. Again, really cool, soulful duet.
It's a great ballad. And their voices work well together. Yeah, I like that one.
No, so, all in all, this album's a thumbs up. It still holds up pretty well for me.
I like the next song, too, which is actually this band called Delta Cross Band. Billy Cross wrote it. I like their version better. Hers is okay. I don't know who's choosing the songs for her. I know Jim Steinman brought Have You Ever Seen the Rain to her and the Ian Hunter song. He brought those 2 in initially, and he produced it. So he probably was the one that brought these other songs in, too. But they're interesting choices. And like you said, it is very eclectic. They're very different styles. And she seems to be able to pull them all off.
Yeah, I don't have this album on CD because I've been searching out the original Japanese press. So as my geek collector side, no fault of the music. I'm glad that I got a chance to revisit this album and I still really enjoy it quite a bit.
Well, let me just say, I know you don't listen to Spotify, but the best way to listen to this album is on Spotify with
it's the same on Apple Music.
Okay, with the visual, because the album cover, which I always thought the album cover was kind of funny anyway, it's got like a photo of her face with these like streams of light coming out by her ears. And on the Spotify and Apple Music, they animate that light. So it looks like these blue kind of like lightning bolts coming out of her head as the music is playing. And I was just like, oh my God, this just makes it even better.
Yeah, so do yourself a favor, listen to this record, check out her Grammy performance of Total Eclipse of the Heart from '84, and look up an interview or 2 with her. There's a little documentary piece that's well done too, where they speak to her husband and other people in her life. She's been married to the same guy for 50 plus years. He's a land developer. He's just kind of this button down businessman. He was actually an Olympic athlete.
Oh, really?
In '72. But she's just a really cool person,
I love that. Yeah.
It's hard not to fall in love with her. And she's still out there performing and the voice is still there.
And I don't think she ever gets tired of performing Total Eclipse of the Heart.
No, she's taking good care of herself. She's never been a partier, never into drinking drugs, and just a down-to-earth person.
Yeah.
So we're going to spend a little less time on the other ballad because we've already talked about Journey at length, but it's important to note Journey, the band, when it originally came out, was a much different entity. So they went through two major shifts and took leaps forward with each shift. The first shift was bringing in Steve Perry as a vocalist for the Infinity album. They were not a big selling, FM rock band for the first couple of albums without him, with Greg Raleigh, the former Santana keyboardist and vocalist, on vocals. Perry comes in, and now they're getting more FM radio play and the occasional minor top 40 hit. Then the other change that really pushed them over the top was adding Jonathan Cain on keyboards. That was for the Escape album. So Escape is when they went from being a growing FM rock band with the occasional couple of top 40 hits, Any Way You Want It, Love and Touch and Squeezing, which is on our playlist. Got a couple of songs on our playlist already. Mm-hmm. Now you've got a world-conquering band, and it was the ballads that Jonathan Cain brought in.
Yes.
So he brings in this pop craftsmanship and these impeccable ballads. You look on the Escape credits, he's a co-writer on Who's Crying Now and Open Arms, the two big ballads that were hits on that record. On their follow-up album, Frontiers, he's a co-writer on every song, but he's the sole writer on this song. Mm-hmm. And it is faithfully. We already talked about what really sets Journey apart is their appeal to women. And that comes through in the lyrics. It's not the same misogynistic BS you get from a lot of the hard rock acts of the age. And this is one of the most romantic songs that's ever been tied to a hard rock act. It's a beautiful lyric to this song.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonathan Cain, like Bonnie Tyler, not a partier, not a drink and drug guy. He's a Midwest guy. He's a man of faith. He was in the Babies with John Waite before he joined Journey. Talented keyboard player. But basically the song is about how tough it is to maintain a monogamous relationship while being in a touring rock and roll band. You're away from your loved one for long periods of time. There's the temptations of the road, this and that. Standard stuff. It's been written about many times, but some of the lines of the song are just so beautifully romantic. So Steve Perry sings it. He didn't write it. He didn't write the lyrics. It was all Jonathan Cain's song, but boy, does he sell it. Oh my God, he sells this song. So
Which
I think
he can do. I mean, that's Steve Perry can do that.
The critics really did miss the boat on Journey. The craft and the vocal talent, the melding of pop song craft to hard rock. Neil Schon, often I think overlooked.
Yeah.
He's up there with the great guitar heroes of the era. He can hold his own with any of these guys. Again, I will point you back to Santana 3.
Oh my God, I love that album.
Such a great, and he's a teenager playing alongside Carlos Santana and then holding his own with Carlos Santana, one of the greatest of them all. But this is just such a beautiful lyric and a beautiful sentiment. Two strangers learn to fall in love again. So it's like, you've been on the road a long time. You've been away from your wife. You're catching up and falling back into that groove. The line that slays me is, I get the joy of rediscovering you. Has there ever been a more romantic line in a song by a hard rock act than that?
Probably not, no.
That's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
And it's beautiful the way Steve sings it, too. They made a video for this song of them, footage from them on the road. And it's like you can really feel it in Steve Perry, mostly is in the video, but it's genuine. It's very genuine.
Yeah.
This was my first concert, by the way.
Oh, is that right? For the Frontiers tour?
Frontiers, and Bryan Adams opened at the Seattle Coliseum.
Had you heard Bryan Adams before you saw him open?
No, I hadn't. In fact, I didn't even remember that until I looked it up and saw that he was the opening act. This was 1983, so he was just, that was his first album, came out in 83.
I liked all the Journey hits at the time. The lead single from Frontiers, Separate Ways, is not one of my favorite of their singles. It's fine.
Yeah.
The video, remember the dumb video for that?
Yes.
Where they're like...
There were so many dumb videos in this era, but they're still endearing.
But yeah, I mean, I like most of the Journey hits of the era. I never saw them live or anything, but I dug all the big hits from Escape, the ballads, and Don't Stop Believin'.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I did notice, Did you listen to the Frontiers album at all?
No, actually, I didn't. I haven't listened to it for years. And no, I didn't go back and listen to that.
So I did. I listened to side one last night, and there it's funny because we're about to talk about the Fixx. There is a song on there that could have easily been a Fixx song. Chain Reaction, the third track on side one. Separate Ways, Worlds Apart is the lead single on the album. In the lead track, Send Her My Love, which was another kind of ballad song, which is
Yeah.
cool. And then Chain Reaction sounds in a different arrangement. That could have totally been a song by the Fixx. Very new wave sounding track.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go and listen to this again. I honestly totally forgot about this because I think I've never really been a big fan of Faithfully. And so when you said we were going to do that song, you wanted to pick that, I was like, okay, whatever. But I'll have to go and listen to the album again.
I love it as much now as I did then, if not more so. But yeah, I only listened to side one of the album. Side one's got all the singles. So it's 4 of the 5 tracks on side one are the 4 singles they released from the record. And then the one non-single was Chain Reaction. It's an interesting track. It's, like I said, it kind of fits in with the new wave sound coming in, which we're going to talk about more right now with Sheryl.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're a big Rupert Hine fan, and this is one of his big productions.
Right. And actually, I had gone down the Rupert Hine rabbit hole because sometimes I just watch old clips of MTV just for fun. A video from 81, Hang On to My Vertigo, came on and I was like, what is this? This is really cool. And so I listened to his Immunity album from 81 and I really, really like that album a lot. It's very much in the whole synth pop vein that was popular at this time. And he's produced a lot of albums and a lot of albums I really like, including Anthony Phillips Sides, which I know we both like that album. Murray Head Voices. He produced I Can See Your House From Here, Camel, and Saga Worlds Apart, which I love that album.
On the Loose, was that a Rupert Hine production?
Yep,
great song.
That's on that album.
That one's really growing into a favorite of mine.
And they also had an album in 83 too that he produced. Saga did. So he's kind of in the prog vein, and he started out in that world too. His first couple albums, he hooks up with some guys from Caravan, and he's producing Camel. So he has that background, and a lot of his solo stuff is very Eno and Peter Gabriel kind of, but more modern synth sound to it. So of course, having him as a producer, I already was totally on board with this album. It sounds amazing. It is definitely an album you want to listen to on headphones because it's just impeccable. The sound quality, the production on this album is just incredible. But, one thing leads to another is one of those carryovers from the 80s that is still popular today. Oh, yeah. Everybody knows this song.
If you weren't there at the time, that song was played a lot because it crossed over. It was on Top 40 radio and it was on rock radio too.
Yeah. And it was on MTV all the time. Yeah. It was huge. And, I actually never owned the album back in the day. And I really had never listened to it that much, but I've been listening to it a lot over the last week. And it's really, really grown on me. I think it's a great album. They're from London. They formed in 79. They were originally called The Portraits. Cy Kernan, who's the lead singer, and the drummer were the two that started the band. And they released a few singles under that name and then disbanded and got back together with a couple other guys. And they were initially just called the Fixx with one X, but they changed it because they didn't want to be connected like with drugs, like a drug fix.
I read that and it reminded me of something that happened in high school. I remember talking to just kids in the hall, and one of the teachers, he was like a shop teacher or worked with like the industrial side, and he was talking about Rush and how that name had drug connotations. It never occurred. I don't know that it occurred to them that's.
No, and this never occurred to me about the Fixx either. And what does it matter if it has 2 X's? It's still the Fixx,
Right, exactly.
It doesn't change the pronunciation. I always kind of felt like it was sort of like In Excess or something, like it was just trying to make it a little bit more interesting by adding that second X.
It does. It works.
Yeah, it does. So they signed to MCA Records off their first single that they actually self-produced. And then their first album, Shuttered Room, they had 2 hits from that Stand or Fall and Red Skies. Red Skies at Night, I mean, that's one of my favorite songs from the 80s. It was on the cusp for me in 82. I didn't pick it, but a great song, a song you still hear now. And it already, you start to hear that kind of like cool guitar sound and that sort of ethereal.
And these songs had staying power on rock radio, at least in the Northwest, because I didn't start listening to KISW until later in high school, like 86, 87. And they're still playing Red Skies and Stand or Fall.
Yeah.
A lot of Fixx, all of them, really.
And it is interesting how they crossed over to rock radio because, yes, they do have guitars, and they
very good guitarist, by the way.
Very good guitarist.
Jamie West Oram.
Yes, that's his name. But, they really are a synth band. Like they have synthesizers really are front and center for them, especially on Reach the Beach. But I think that happened more so because Rupert Hine came in as their producer for that album. He didn't produce their first album, but they brought him in for Reach the Beach. And he has a pretty heavy hand as a producer, just in general. And for this album, it's very synth heavy, but it's more like sort of the backbone of a lot of these songs. It isn't so much like Depeche Mode or bands where it's all synth.
They're not carrying the melody. They're more on the percussive side, like stabs and effects.
Yes, yes. And, because you have the guitar that's really carrying the melody. And the guitar...
Yeah, well, this song is all about the groove and the guitar and the funk. Yeah.
The whole album, there's very cool guitar work in there. And it really is what drives the songs. And the other piece that really, I think that's the most important piece of this is Cy Kernan's voice. His vocals are just very cool. He's got kind of a Bowie feel to him. He has a very strong voice, and
he's got a Bowie body to him too.
He does.
Whip it thin guy. Looked like Bowie from peak cocaine era.
He's reminiscent of Bowie in a lot of ways.
Yeah. You seen the live show from Denver from 83 where he's wearing those high-waisted slacks, the skinny tie tucked into the shirt with the sleeves rolled up.
And that's one of the things too that really carried over with their videos is they had a look about them that was very new wave. And I mean, Cy was a good-looking guy.
But conservative new wave.
Yes.
I haven't done enough research to really know a lot about their backgrounds. I'm assuming they're kind of posh guys. They're not...
They definitely come across that way. There's not a lot about them out there. Like, I couldn't really find a lot about their background.
They've kind of kept that under wraps. But I'm guessing they come from pretty comfortable backgrounds.
Yeah. And they also don't have a lot of their music. Reach the Beach is not streaming.
What? Really?
No. They have greatest hits.
Another argument for collecting CDs. I've got the original Japanese pressing right here.
Well, I have found the vinyl at Silver Platters, a used copy. So but it is on YouTube, but it's not streaming.
That's interesting.
They do have their hits on there. And I read a thing where they said that they didn't want to put the albums on because they wanted people to buy the albums.
Good
they
for
have
them.
The hits so people can listen to One Thing Leads to Another, Saved by Zero. But they didn't.
Some of their CDs are very collectible. The next record, Phantoms, I've got two versions of that: the original CD and the remaster. And they're both very collectible.
Mm-hmm. So the singles from this album, Saved by Zero, Sign of Fire, One Thing That Leads to Another, are all excellent. They're all great songs and different. Saved by Zero and Sign of Fire are definitely more kind of slower, more ethereal. But the sound, especially Saved by Zero, the sound quality is just so incredible on these songs. And I feel like it was a great match for them to bring Rupert Hine in. In fact, Cy Kernan works with Rupert Hine a lot in the later years too, and like sings on his albums, and it's just a good pairing. The song, One Thing Leads to Another, the lyrics have a lot to say. It's easy to just kind of listen to it and think it's a cool song because it does have a really good groove to it, and his voice is just so great. But it's very political. I mean, he was writing about politics and politicians lying and how, they weave a tangled web. And
that doesn't have any contemporary relevance.
No, not at all, right? So it still carries over to this day. And I think one of the things that really stands out so much in this song too, and his vocals, is how he sings it with such... There's anger, like there's intensity. There's intensity there. And it really comes across in the song. But also... enjoyed listening to this song on headphones too, because you can really hear a lot, like you said, the stabs, like the synth stabs and the different sounds going on. It's kind of reminiscent to me of Owner of a Lonely Heart, where you get all those weird sort of quirky synth sounds in there that oftentimes fall into the backdrop if you don't really listen closely.
Signposting for the future here.
Yeah.
We'll be talking a lot about that one.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot going on in this song, which is one of the things I really like about it, because there's layers of depth here. You know, like it's a cool song just to listen to it. And then if you start listening closer to the lyrics, he's got something to say. And then when you even listen deeper to the song, you realize that there's all kinds of things going on back here that don't stand out unless you're giving it, you know, a closer listen. And, you know, it's that guitar riff that really catches you from the beginning.
It's a killer groove. It really is.
It is. And I think there's parts in the song, like in the middle eight, where it kind of goes into just the heavy drums and there's like voices coming all over one thing, you know, which I think is really cool how it kind of spans through the headphones.
It's a really top tier production. It's just,
yes. And the whole album is, I think the singles are all excellent and have always been some of my favorite songs from the 80s. The album takes a little bit more getting into.
Yeah.
I think you have to really listen to it several times. At least for me, that's the way it worked.
I haven't gotten there. I do like their singles. I watched their live concert and the album tracks didn't draw me in so much, but
that's how I felt too. I've listened to this album several times and just been kind of like, meh.
Yeah, competent.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
But after listening to it more closely, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting into it. And it's more of the Rupert Hine influence that I think is drawing me in. One thing I also realized on this album, 0 fills. There is not one drum fill on this entire album.
Interesting.
I have never listened to a rock, you know, like we said, they were playing this on rock stations. This is not just a synth pop album where you've got drum machines playing everything. There's a real drummer. He is a real drummer playing on this album. There is not one fill on the entire album. It's very strange to me, but it's not really that noticeable. Maybe no one but a drummer would really notice it. But I was like, what is going on here? Does this guy just not know how to play a fill? I've never heard of such a thing. Maybe New Order, but Stephen Morris wants to be a drum machine, so that makes sense. You know, like this doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, I just thought that was strange. But the drums are super driving in one thing leads to another, you know, and I think that it really works for this song.
Yeah, they're just so locked in on this track. I mean, it is really a great groove.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
Yeah.
Great production. I had trouble choosing whether I like that song better or Saved by Zero, which they're very different songs.
Yes.
And also, they had a sneaky number of hits.
Mm-hmm.
They really did.
Yeah.
They're far from a one-hit wonder. I mean, they had hit songs that had staying power, and several of them.
Right. And after this album, Are We Ourselves was a hit from the album after that. And actually, Deeper and Deeper was a B-side to Are We Ourselves. And that's a really cool song that I remember hearing on the radio. And it was in the Streets of Fire soundtrack, which keeps popping up.
Yeah.
That soundtrack. Jim Steinman wrote songs for that soundtrack. I was like, oh, there's a connection here. We've got both the Fixx and Jim Steinman are on that soundtrack. Have you seen the movie? It has Willem Dafoe as the antagonist.
It's kind of been on my radar because Walter Hill was the director and, he directed The Warriors.
Oh, right. It looks very Warriors-like in a, I can't, it's not streaming. I can't find it anywhere. I have to pay for it, so I didn't watch it. But I feel like it's popped up several times on my radar.
I don't know that I ever got around to this movie, but I will definitely...
Well, it's very music-oriented because it's about a musician who gets kidnapped, and there's a lot of music in the movie.
In 1984, I'll definitely be checking it out when we get into 1984.
So I figured, okay, I'll just have to wait and rent it then. But anyway, the Fixx do have a song on that soundtrack. And they had Secret Separation, came out in 86. I really like that song.
That's a good song, yeah.
So to me, anyway, they were just kind of a greatest hits band. Like all their singles are really good. And that's what I would have listened to before. But of their albums, this album, and this is their most well-known album. It has their biggest hit on it. One thing leads to another. But overall, I do think it's a really, really good album that warrants more listening.
Yeah, I would say they're prototypical modern rock. So this is when the AOR stations, the rock stations, started playing more new wave stuff.
Yeah.
And I seem to think, going back in time, I think I got it in my head at some point that they were Australian.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But when I watched the live show, their live show reminded me of Men at Work. I mean, they're both,
Mm.
pretty talented groups of musicians playing in that.
Mhm.
It's modern rock is basically, it's still rock music, but it's not drawing on the same old kind of blues tropes.
Yeah.
And it's not metal. It's not spandex and screamer vocals. It's
No.
more intelligent lyrics.
And it's very synth
more
based. I mean, there's still a lot of
yeah,
synthesizers
a lot of
happening.
keyboards, more
Mhm.
atmospheric guitar work than flurries of notes.
Yes.
Although West Oram had a little showcase. He's doing the Eddie Van Halen tapping and dive bombs. And
He could do it, I'm
yes,
sure. Yeah.
yes. No, he's
Yeah.
talented. He's good.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's more the atmospheric guitar work and chorus effects and
Yeah.
that kind
That
of stuff.
chimey kind
Yeah.
of. Mhm. Which really works for them, and I think that pairing with Psy's vocals really works because I think he's one of the best vocalists of this era too.
And a quirky, unusual frontman, kind of like a combination of David Byrne and Dr. Strangelove with some of his stage moves.
With David Bowie's body.
And you kind of wonder, is this guy really a little on the edge mentally, or is this all kind of a put on, just the weird stuff he's doing?
Well, everything I saw with him, like interviews and stuff, he seems very grounded and together. So I think it's probably more a stage show for him. They're still performing now, and they've definitely had longevity in that sense. They're one of those throwback bands that, they're still the same guys.
Yeah, they turned over a bunch of bassists, but the other three guys in the group pretty much stayed together throughout, right?
Yeah. They weren't necessarily putting new music out, but they continued to tour and be relevant in that sense.
Also, part of what helped them was they got on the Police tour, the Synchronicity tour.
Yes, they opened up for the Police in '83. Yeah, and that really gave them a lot of exposure. And they would fit well on that tour. The Police are another one of those bands that crossed over to rock radio. I mean, they didn't have the synthesizers, but I could see the audiences being similar.
Yeah. So we are glad that you joined us to get your fix of Gen X music. Once again, with Matt and Cheryl's Gen X Lit playlist, adding 3 more songs to our ever-growing playlist. The fix, One Thing Leads to Another, and 2 classic power ballads from 1983, Journey's Faithfully, and Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart. Now, we're coming down to the end here in 1983. We have a couple of special episodes coming up. As I said, we're going to dedicate one to MTV. We're going to talk about its impact on music. The timing is personal for me because we're getting to the latter end of 83, and that's when I couldn't pinpoint exactly when MTV entered our house, but I think it
I don't know
was toward
either.
the end of 1983, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at MTV, its impact on music, and then Sheryl and I are going to pick a few artists we thought got the biggest boost from the emergence of MTV. Also, Sheryl's gearing up for this one. We're going to talk 80s prog, and we're specifically going to focus on a landmark album for the two of us, maybe one of the most important albums that we'll talk about in terms of our development as music fans, and that was Yes's 90125. Came out late in 83. I've got another random song we're going to toss in there somehow. I don't know how, but I feel like we haven't had enough country influence on our list, and there's a massive country crossover hit toward the end of 1983 that we're going to place on there. And then I've got my album of the year. And of course, Mike's going to join us for a final episode of 1983 and share his favorite song and album of the year. And we'll talk about some of the songs that almost made it, didn't quite for us as well, before we move on to 1984. And that's all to come. But thank you for joining us for this week's Matt and Cheryl's Gen X Lit playlist. I'm Matt.
I'm Sheryl.
Take care, everybody.